There's one thing that almost all TCG players can agree on. Drawing cards feels great. Anytime you resolve an effect that draws like Sky Striker Ace Engage, you feel the endorphins start to flow. Players love it so much that they'll forego obviously correct plays if the alternative lets them draw new cards. I'm looking at you, Triple Tactics Talons. But there is one other mechanic that Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelists love almost as much as drawing. Milling. Yu-Gi-Oh's manaless system and plethora of graveyard abilities essentially turn your graveyard into a second hand as long as you build your deck accordingly. And with the releasing of That Grass Looks Greener from the Forbidden list, milling addicts like myself have never been in a better position. But many argue that unlike Master Duel, the lack of my trusty sidekicks Tailman Kakalos and Fairy Tale Snow make it so that these graveyard decks don't have enough gas to push through disruptions that a typical deck would establish. So as promised, today I will prove the doubters wrong, and I'm going to locals with a 60-card Grass tier deck. This will be the first of several 60-card graveyard-heavy decks that will show you the almighty power of the grave. Now within this slot, I've already got Lightsworn, Yubel, and Infernoid lined up, but there could be other 60-card decks that are viable. And if there's any other you want me to go over or you think are worth exploring, then please let me know in the comments down below. And on that note, if you enjoy these types of videos and want to see me go to locals more and explore these more unique decks, then please like, subscribe, and again, comment that you're enjoying it, comment what you like about it, and then also what you want to see on the channel in the future. But with all that said, it's time for the return of tier and the TCG. Let's go to locals. Okay, so we make it all the way to locals, and surprisingly, it's a small tournament today. What I didn't realize is that there's actually a VIP qualifier for YCS Niagara going on at some of the other locals in the area. And myself having the UDS ring, I don't need that. I already get 2 buys for every YCS anyways. I don't need the VIP tournament qualifier. So what that meant is that this local is actually kind of small today, and we only have 3 rounds ahead of us as only 8 players showed up. That's all right. 8 players, still 3 rounds. It's time for us to win locals with tier. All right, so we sit down for round number 1. And first I roll the tournament, set the kind of pace, and we lose, but that's okay because it all matters what happens next. And first action, Shifter. I'm thinking to myself, oh God, what have I done? This is a mistake because obviously I'm playing 3 elements. This is going to be a very, very brutal, setup. And this isn't like a Shizu tier, which can make Baguska. I don't play that card, nor do I really have the level 4s to do anything like that. So I have pretty much 0 recourse to this. At least when I go first, I can try and live a turn and then play next. But here, they're going to get set up first, set up follow-up, and then I can't play. So I'm kind of just boned. And the duality is showing their engine, then they don't even pick the engine, and then they activate map, and I'm like, no bueno, next game. I decide that it's better to try and concede because, not try and concede, just to concede, because I don't want to risk losing the time. Floowandereeze is a deck that has a life points gain scam card. Floowandereeze, the Advent of Adventure, the quick play spell. And the biggest problem is if you have a long game too, which can absolutely happen against Flu, because the deck is solid in a grind game, but if you play properly against it, you can win a grind. And in those cases, you can get to a game 3 that's low on time, and you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to just getting scammed 500 life point gains and then game over. So I figure chance winning this game, probably 1 in 10 million type of thing. So let's just go next. That requires some gargantuan mistake. Now, obviously, if it's game 3 and I had nothing to lose, then I'd probably stick it out. But in a position where I could be, shooting myself on the foot by staying in that game, I think there's no reason to stay in there. So we go straight for game 2, and because I'm playing 60 cards, it's likely my opponent does know at least somewhat what I'm playing, although I will have concealed some information by the quick concession. I start off with Rhino Heart, and I have a cool play that I like that you cannot do in Master Duel, and that is instead of going Kid Close, which obviously you cannot do, if you have any other dark monster in your hand that is not an Aqua, you can turn this Rhino into Bahamut Toad. This will insulate from Ash Blossom, which is the singular card that will beat That Grass Looks Greener. And importantly, this leaves you with 2 cards in hand for left arm offering for grass. This is a pretty simple combination which can come up pretty often, and it makes the grass relatively safe. Now, obviously, if they see you do this and they have Ash plus Veiler, they can go Veiler the Toad in Resolution, then you can grass and then they'd Ash it, but then you kind of have to rely on the Toad, and it is kind of awkward, but I think in most cases, at least it's pretty safe. I get to mill a bunch of cards here, and the cool thing with the shuffling back the tier card and the card in the hand is I actually get to mill 2 extra cards. It kind of replaces itself. and I get to go through all my effects. Now, people may say there's not enough graveyard effects for tier right now, but truthfully, that's just not true. You can see I have a lot here. And for some reason, I was going to let you guys know, I play this game really badly. I can't really tell you why, but I kind of just wasn't focused well. Maybe it's because I built this deck and the Lightsworn deck at the same time, and then I brought both and hadn't decided which one to play and which one to show off separately. But I just forgot I played like a Garura in this deck, as well as I didn't set up a resource cycle pretty well. I should have made this Kaleido Heart on my opponent's turn instead of, and made Garura now and give myself better fall for next turn. But still, I look like I'm very far ahead, right? I'm going to 6 cards in hand here. So despite this left arm burning through my hand, I'm back at a full hand. That's important to know. You can't set trap cards here, so I'm not going to have like an incredible amount of disruption. That being said, you know, I already have the Toad. I'm milling a bunch of cards to thin my deck, as well as I can mill Shufflers and Black Gold Laughs. And then I'm going to be able to get the Fiendsmith stuff as well. Now, there's no fear for continuing to mill because you do want to hit eventually Black Gold Laughs and the Shufflers. They are very, very strong cards. Shufflers, even if they're not good versus Flu, do hit a couple things. For one, they hit Floowandereeze Street, which is a way of extending for them, as well as it turns your Polar Rhino into a pop, which can answer Map or the Unexplored Winds, which both are pretty powerful cards for the strategy. As well as going to be used to hit Dreaming Towns in the end phase if they get into a grinding game, which is very likely for Flu in this position. Flu cannot kill from this position, even if they have board breakers. Or oftentimes what's needed for them to break the board is going to be some sort of evenly matched combination to bait the Toad first. Anyways, I get to summon the sequence here, and then I get to continue into the Desiree, and the Desiree will act as a negate for cards like Evenly, so I have 2 Omnis now, and then I have enough to go for a Sharon as well, which should make SP. The reason I make SP is I figured just playing for the long game and tagging out should be very good, and here I just completely blunder. On top of like not doing the best resource cycling, not triggering like tiers to make Garura, I just don't equip sequence. There's no good reason for that. It's just bad. And my opponent duality's here, and knowing it's Flu, I should expect Dark Ruler, and I don't stop it. I don't chain SP either. Especially given that Desiree is dead, I should chain SP, banish Desiree. At least if I'm trying to hold Toad, what that means is they'll come back in the end phase and apply pressure. I don't do that. I get Dark Ruler, and now I look like a complete schmuck. My interrupts are kind of broken apart. Yeah, so it's okay though. I can't be killed. I still have a lot of resources going for me, and I have a big field. Evenly matched, there's a problem now because now I won't have that much of a field, and as well as my tier cache can't really mill 6, not me doing it now, and that's not something I want to do really. So evenly resolves, I use the Toad because I'll put it in the grave and get to add back a card, and then I have to choose what to keep, and it sucks because for some reason in my head I'm thinking I have no fusions left. So I'm thinking, do I keep the Kaleido Heart here because of that? I end up keeping the Desiree because I think it's a better card overall, and if he has a card that tributes it or interacts with it, then I'll get the float effect. But still, I just not thinking straight, and this game should have gone much differently. I had Rhino Heart back, which should be at least solid from the perspective of Garura, but again, not a card I remembered. Opponent gets Desiree here, and that'll check probably the sequence. That way the Desiree doesn't become a huge threat. And without Lacrima in the game, there's not a good way to retrieve this back as a Fiendsmith player. I think there's a cool balancing for the engine. Unbanned comes down to search, and that's the thing. Like you're going to see here, Flu doesn't have a great way of applying too much real pressure from these situations. It kind of doesn't do that much. And we're going to see the map come down, and then it's just setting up like kind of disruptions, but it's really not that much to deal with. The second Unbanned's going to come, and that'll get the trap. Again, like it's not huge. And if my opponent's pretty much ending here, it means I do have the option to immediately go Desiree into Requiem and send off. However, I'd also like to keep the Desiree so I could link away the Requiem and then attach it and turn the Desiree into negate. Now, it is a bit weird because I can't use the Requiem's effect while the Unbanned's on field, so it's hard to get off the field. And I'll kind of have to play by ear depending on what I mill. So I figure before the end of the turn, let's mill 3. See, I mill them early there. Don't use the effect because I just forget. And the worst part is I look through my extra deck there, and I just... over my head. Don't see Garura. I don't get it, guys. I don't get it. I Trivik Army here, get my last target out of the deck. It's a second Sullik, but I just don't want to draw it because it's the only target I have left. And I do want to thin my deck for Millers. Not Millers, Shufflers. That's kind of going to be what I'm looking for here. I need to recycle all my resources so I can get going that way. So this isn't like the most daunting thing, this board. And I did have a Cosmic for turn, which is really good. So I can hit the trap. And he won't be able to play on my turn unless I normal summon, which I can very easily avoid. And that's exactly what I do. Thing is, though, with all the Fiendsmith sequence gone, I can't refuse for this Desiree if I link it off a Requiem. So I kind of have to decide, do I have a way of dealing with this field? Or do I need to turn this Desi Ray into something else. So checking the Unbanned, making sure I can't activate, and I decided the best course of action, I think, was to go for Desi Ray Send. So I think here, if it would have been better if I'd left the Requiem engrave somehow. I can't remember if I could have, but if I could have done that, leaving it engraved would have been pretty good as a way of follow-up, because you can equip to your stuff. And if you need it back in the deck, I would have plenty of engravers to get the ball rolling. Now the Desi Ray will be gone for good, and even if I can shuffle it back with engraver, it doesn't really mean anything because I have no way to get it out with sequence gone. The other way would be tracked, fusing with 3 Life Fiends from hand and field, which technically is possible, but I'm not really counting on it to be a win condition. Now from here, I don't really have a great way of doing anything else to extend. Like, I burned through a lot of my extra deck, and the tools of conversion for this deck kind of fall apart. Again, if I had a Garura, this would be game. So I'm like, okay, mill 5, best idea here. Pilgrim Reaper is cool. Both of us will mill 5. It'll be like a miller. And it also has the added benefit that it gives all of your, or gains 200 attack for every dark in both players' grades. So while he has none, he didn't mill a shift or anything. And it's going to be like decently big with me. I think it's at 2,400. Now, even though it's tier, it's really not like a crazy number of darks. So don't expect it to hit like obscene numbers like 4,000 plus attack points. Plus the game is pretty much over. And you can see me pulling out all the darks for him there. But yeah, also mill the dusted gold, which I could use for stuff. But remember, dusted gold can't attack unless you control a fusion. Oh no, sorry, no, I banished the dusted gold to the left arm, so I can't even use the Sinister Necron that I milled, which remember was kind of unfortunate. So I set the Rhino Heart because it'll give me a lot more fodder than Sullick sending up tier cash. I have the Rhino Heart. Remember, I can't summon it because of the map. By setting it, I can send it off still because Sullick does not have to send a face-up card. I just have to control a face-up tier monster. The Rhino can then send the second Sullick from my hand, revive itself, get tier cash. That'll develop 4 bodies, as well as making sure I have enough for Sullick once more to mill through my deck, negate his play here, as well as a potential negate on the next turn, and be good. Because my opponent will probably go Street Talk in, and the Talking can still add back Dreaming Town as a way of playing on my turn to stabilize. So I have all that planned out. Now, as long as they don't draw a quick play spell for turn, I'm still in control of this game as long as I play properly. You can see it play out here. Map is activated and it reveals these 3 from the hand, and I got to be patient. I have one express purpose. I know what I have to do is I have to Eaglin. So there's no reason to think it's kind of play by ear. He summons the Stree, banishing the map, and that does kind of confirm that, okay, this is the plan. He doesn't have a second Talkan, and the Talkan will be a target here. Now, I'm debating, like, do I cut this off with Sullick? And the answer is no. I don't really care too much what's going on. It has to be the Eagle and I stop. I do have to ponder for a second if there is any reason to do it, but there's not. Rabina Search doesn't matter. The worst card it could be is Crow. It will kind of keep me off of the Rhino engrave, but it's not like a huge deal. It'll still keep me with enough bodies in field, as well as him not having much. Just the Trap Axe will have a way of applying pressure next turn, and then I Sullick negates, and then I get to do the Rhino play like I mentioned. Now, summon the Rhino Heart in defense mode. That way he has nothing easy to crash into that's super small, because I imagine that they have to crash the Eaglin in unless they already have one, because the Dreaming Town needs to summon the Eaglin to get a monster. It already has one, though, so it doesn't have to crash before the end phase, though. I'm just going to mill 3. Keep looking for shufflers. Don't mill any. I'm like, it's fine, because at this point in the game, it should just be over with me attacking on field. Pilgrim Reaper as well, mill 5 cards. And remember, they took 2 hits last turn as well, so they aren't like super stable on life points or anything. We see 5 more cards are milled there, and it doesn't really matter what's hit at this point. Now, I would like to play the game properly, but playing tier cash beatdown will kind of just get there. And here I just want to do quick math, make sure that I have enough to win the game, and the darks are all going to be counted once more, making sure that there's enough fuel for my Pilgrim Reaper to close it out. And it's pretty ironic, with 2 cards in the deck, the 2 cards I had left were just shufflers that I could not summon or can I mill the entire time, because I was looking for those, despite it being kind of like not what I actually should have looked for. I should have been looking for other stuff. But yeah, I'm lining these up, and it is enough for lethal. So we get to go to game 3. Very shaky gameplay at the start. I will easily admit that I did not go about this properly, but you know, it's okay. We recovered, and we move on to the 3rd game. Okay, so going second into game 3, I feel pretty comfortable going second versus Flu, except when you're being flooded out. That is something that happens a lot. The Shifter, Feather Storm are going to be the biggest concerns, but if there's no floods, I feel fine. However, D-Fisher, while being a flood, is backed up with nothing. So I do have a bit of an opportunity to play. Now, I am at a bit of a predicament, though, because I obviously am playing a very, very graveyard heavy deck. And I don't have a great way of pushing through this D-Fissure. I'm thinking if there's a way for me to rank 4 so I can detach a tier monster and then trigger Pearl Rhino, but I don't really have a great one. So instead, I decided of a couple options. I can like push SP, banish the D-Fissure, and try play that way. However, I feel like you can get shifted if you do that, or you press for damage. So instead, I set my power cards face down. I had a planet and a droplet. Now, droplet, while seemingly bad under Fissure, it's not D-Shifter. I keep it because I can send the planet, and it's a way of playing on the quick play spells as well. I summon Dangers. I summon the Dust of Gold first because it represents 1800 damage via Engraver, and I figure I can put them on a 2-turn clock, which should be enough to win the game. I cycle through my Dangers here, and then I will be able to put a bunch of damage. So I get the Engraver out, I flip up Planet and get the Sharon, and I think I make an oopsie here. Did I normal summon the Sharon? I did. Okay, so obviously this is a mistake. I would not normal summon twice if I had known differently. Again, I don't know what was wrong with me this match, but my mind was not there, was not cooperating. But the thing is, you still have the 2-turn clock with these attacking and then making the same play, and then normal summon Sharon next turn into an empty board state. So the concept still stands. I just summon the Sharon because it applies a little more pressure now. Not an excuse. Obviously, don't condone doing this. It's a mistake, so mistakes happen, but yeah. So because I summoned the Sharon, though, I do have a bit of a better play. While SP is fine, with the extra body, I can do IP into SP. That way, I can try to keep them off bodies in combination with Droplet. You know, that could be okay, and it still represents the 2-turn clock. And the most important thing here is having the 2-turn clock available. So I would have gone for SP if I didn't have the Sharon in play, just because it's more important that you have the right amount of damage up. And SP is still good because it lets you dodge removal effects and apply pressure with attack points and just bodies, which is the most important way to play here. And IP SP still, you know, puts SP in play, which is a fantastic card. So I make the IP, should be an SP, Sharon should be in hand, and my opponent goes and they just concede. Their hand is full of bricks, and that unfortunately is the Flu experience. You get some freebies with the Shifter, and then you get some hard ones with that. Obviously, if they had combo plus Fissure, this game would have been very chalked for me, but that's the way it goes sometimes. 1-0, 2 rounds to go. All right, so round number 2. We have won the roll, so I get to go first, and I'm super excited. And draw Phase Shifter again! And my hand is just not good, so I pass. Well, it's not good. My hand was fine, but I couldn't beat the Shifter. My opponent goes discard Laura, special Canahawk, and I'm like, yeah. Let's just go next, buddy. Very impressive game 1. Just like last round, we get nice and slaughtered by Shifter. And because I know it's Virtual Beast, I'm also kind of worried, because now that means game 3 at the very least. Assuming the Shifter does not touch any more of these games, I'm gonna get Protos to game 3. And that's scary because Calling Dark is big, and that will affect my side patterns. And for game 3, I side out a lot of my non-tier dark monsters, my Dangers, my Horus monsters. I don't want to draw them into Protos lock, which I essentially have no way of stopping. I'll go first here again, and Shifter. But all is not lost. I set Black Olaf's off at Thrust, and this can call Ulti Canahawk to stop them from progressing their combo, and I have to hope this is enough to keep me alive. But a normal summons Elder, normal summons Canahawk, and I call the Ulti Canahawk here. I do it now just in case they wanted to get it onto field before like catching me off, before using they use the regular Canahawk effect. And they know it's there, right? So there's no like reason for me to hide. It's not like it's a miscellaneous interrupt. But by calling Ulti Canahawk, I hope to keep them off from doing anything too crazy. And we get to kind of see what they set up here. But now they can't do all the tag out nonsense. That would kind of make it super dumb. They hard to flag though, so they're going to have access to Protos, which is extremely scary. That corridor here, so I'm thinking, okay, Colossus. And this is a lot of damage in field, so I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I am just dead. But things do kind of pick up here, because instead my opponent goes for Protos that they already had in hand. I think my opponent probably should have attacked before doing any of this, and they just may have forgot that there was turn 1. It wasn't turn 1, rather, sorry. But they put up a bunch of these bodies, and then Protos summon. They call Dark, and they call it a turn. So, a fair assumption that Tyr can't play under Protos, but Tyr, it's not Yubel. There is more flexibility here. So I slammed the hard-drawn grass that I had last turn, and there's no Ash. I'm chilling. It did some deck thinning, so I'm going to get more than 20 cards here. I think it was 25. So I can show you guys all the broken stuff we hit and how we play without our dark monsters. Gets a bunch of milling, and even though it doesn't look like there's that much crazy stuff, this is still plenty. There's a Suluk, there's a screen, there's a tier cache. It really makes such a huge difference. The tier cache and Suluk are at 3 in TCG. Like, it makes up somewhat for no kick galos. It does change the deck pretty drastically, but it is pretty cool. You can see here there's 5 different triggers still going, and Reinhardt still triggers. Muddragon is not a dark. So I get Diffuse, put the Muddragon out, add back the tier cache. And I kind of messed myself up here. By putting the tier cache back in hand, I took it off the chain as a trigger. So I think I just forget to mill 2 off of that. Or maybe I didn't even trigger it. I don't know. I should have if I didn't. I resolve the rest of the effects. That comes out. I get to send from deck to grave, or hand to grave. And that's Havness obviously cannot trigger, but it's fine. I have no use for it right now. Now this is a Bahamut Toad set up immediately, which is going to protect me from hand traps. And now as for dealing with the Protos, there's a nice simple answer. There is Engraver. So I get the Toad up to make sure that I can't be stopped by any other hand traps. Tier cache is 3 more mills, as well as another body on field. 2300 attack is nothing to scoff at. Another tier name that I cannot use, but it's not a huge deal. So here I noticed that I don't mill any Fiendsmith stuff. I have none in my grave. And I want to kill him this turn, but because I didn't mill the Fiendsmith stuff I needed, I actually can't win without linking away some of my bodies for Engraver. Because if I link away the tier cache plus the Bahamut, or the Muddragon plus the Bahamut, then I'm still only left with around 6,300 points of damage. So I use my left arm for something other than grass, and I got Tracked, a card I never thought I would add off of Left Arm Offering. This will get me into Lurie. I made sure I still had these in my deck. You know, I did have Keldo Engrave if I needed to put them back, but this is enough to get me to my Engraver. Engraver will send off the Protos, and this is very confidently 8,000 points of damage through Protos. So, you may be able to shifter me, but I am not that easily defeated. Game 3. As I'm side decking for this, I noticed that I really don't want the Horus cards or the Danger cards in my deck. They both really, really suck under Protos. And my side deck cards aren't great for this matchup, but they're still better than being straight up dead. So I put in cards like Sphere Mode in case he doesn't, or leaves up like Colossus plus Protos. You saw Corridor in his deck. I put in Phantasmaze and Mulch Armies. Those are both pretty good. And then I have Cosmics, Lightning Storms. Anything that help me kind of clean up some back row, and then I can make like a Bahamut Toad with Phantasme and kind of like stabilize that way. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm putting all those cards in and hoping that'll do the heavy lifting. Although obviously that will have to do a lot because it won't just be Protoss I have to deal with. So yeah, I'm going through all 15 cards in my set deck, and it's take a bit of time to side deck here because I have to make sure I take out every engine in its entirety. I don't want to draw one Mseti and then realize, wait, there's no targets for this, because that obviously would suck. It would be just a very shitty fusion material at that point. I debated leaving in like 1 or 2 dangers for fusion material, but I'm like, I'm putting in Phantasmaze to make up for it. So I have enough darks, I think, on the deck for Reinhardt that I'm okay with where I am. Mulch Army is nice because it's actually a level 4 Aqua Water you can summon to make Bahamut, or you can mill and make Cloudheart with. So it is actually fusion material and something that's cool, and a reason why I'm playing it in the main deck in the Lightsworn version. It doesn't play Nessie. I wanted to put some Aquas in the deck to make Cloudheart a little bit more easily. And yeah, okay, we are ready to go. Do this. Opponent starts off with normal summon Rampengu, and then doesn't chain shifter here, which is great because it kind of tells me, all right, I have a bit more of a fighting chance. Now, with the Rampengu normal summon combo, I don't know what it is, but I know for a fact it is worse than every other combo. And seeing there's not really another extender here is kind of nice. Then there's no hand traps in my behalf. It does look like this is going to be a kind of sad version of the combo. Now, their priority in their head is obviously going to be Protoss Lock Me Dark, even though they saw how it backfired in the last game. I still think that, in their perspective, going for Protoss Lock Dark is perfectly good. It is strong. So they do all that, and then they go for the Canahawk. They search, and they can get a nice trap or follow-up, and then they get to make the flag for Protoss as well. So they're going to have all they need to do the Protoss Dark at this point. Whether they go past it is another question. On the flag effects, I chain the Havness I have in my hand, trying to mill Shufflers, keep them off of cards, or if I can mill Black Go Laughs, I can call Protoss, and that'd be super effective. I do mill pretty good though, even if it isn't the what's it called, the Protoss. I'm like, okay, I had Tier Cache to hand, and then I summon the Tier Cache again, hoping I can mill a Shuffler. And then I chain the Triva Karma so that I can still add. Now, there's a world where I'm supposed to wait till he summons the Protoss and really focus on Black Go Laughs. I don't mill anything off of the Tier Cache though, so it's fine. Now, obviously, my Havness would get popped by Protoss, but I was expecting a Link Monster to come down here, at which point I'd Phantasme, and that would give me the other Dark Engrave needed for, what's it called? For a Fusion Summon. My SP banishes the Havness, and I'm like, neat, that's fine. And yeah, so I'll lose the Havness, but it's not the biggest deal. Obviously, I'll lose the Phantasme as well, but just fixing my hand a little bit is important. I think I put back the wrong card with Phantasme, to be honest. I milled the Tract, so I put back an Engraver that I drew. I also had a Caldo in my hand, so I think I didn't have like a normal summon either. At least I don't remember. I don't think I did. So I think I should have not put back the Engraver. It actually would have been really useful for me here. Obviously, I didn't know I was going to get Anna-spelled, but a bit of a mistake on my behalf, I think, because I think I kept a Sphere mode because I need to play Colossus. I thought maybe he would chain SP at some point, and then like summon Colossus and end on those three. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, Sphere mode's terrible. I should have put back the Sphere mode. That was a mistake. Anyways, I get Draw Phase Anna-spelled. I'm like, damn, what looked like a crazy convenient game for me is now a bit up in the air. But the Shuffler is actually pretty good because my opponent's follow-up is a bit contingent on this graveyard, and I do have a way to rip it apart. I can cut off the Nochi Ulti Drago. I can kill this Protoss with the Fiendsmith stuff for sure, and then try and hopefully have it be that that's enough disruption to keep them from killing me. And if I can do that, I'll set up my spells and pop off next turn. I think at this point I drew Black Yugioh last return, ironically, so I can't remember if this is another game where it came up, but I do remember that this ends up surviving. So I normal summon this Caldo here, and yeah, the Fiendsmith card would not have helped that much, but opponent summons in Azaroon, so that's why they didn't go for the top hat play earlier. I can pop that, or I can attack over to pop it. It is important that I resolve the Fiendsmith card, so I do decide to attack. I will need to mill a playable card in order to get something off this. I mill 2, mill Trivic Karma, and this Sphere mode Trivic Karma doesn't do too much here. It does lock me off of getting the Fiendsmith stuff, which is a shame, but I can still get just something for next turn, Scream, or I can get a Trap for Sullic in case I have another Tear Cash in hand. I don't, however, I'm pretty sure without the extender here, I can't actually duel this Protoss. I will be under Dark Lock once more. The Shuffler, however, will keep him off of anything too broken in theory, so that's at least what I have going for me. I use the Shuffler now in case like I'm playing into some like Bell off the top. I figure there's nothing to lose. I will have to do this. There's no other miscellaneous factor that's going to stop me from wanting to do this later. I need to prevent the Ulti Nochi Drago from just coming down to the draw phase and ending the game. And then I just want to set up all my cards in Anna-spell so that if he can't kill me, I am all set. I set cards and pass. And I remember my opponent is under their own Anna-spell as well, so their number of extenders is going to be somewhat limited. He normal summons when, and I did draw Black Yugioh. Yeah, so he targets the Canahawk, and I get to negate it here. This keeps him locked under only one name in place. They can't summon Ulti Nochi Drago. They can't do much links, attacks, and passes. And now my spells are set. Black Yugioh last is also going to be a menace the next turn. I get to Polar Rhino. Even though I'm under Dark Lock again, Tear Cash is going to apply a lot of pressure. Revive Scream. To the very least, this can be 6 mils here, as well as being able to attack over the Protoss, because now I'm at 28, he's at 2000. And if I just mill good, then this will be great as well. So there's an Engraver, which is fantastic. I don't think it was live just yet. Yeah, I don't have anything else there. I think at this point, if I had gotten tracked last turn with Engraver, I would have killed him. But instead, I have to just play it a bit slow. I get another Sullic to hand, just, get some free cards and deck thin. And I'm thinking about what's the best way to go about this to keep up both disruption on my turn and keep them off theirs. I have to debate if their spell or set card is a potential dangerous spell that I need to clear, or if it's going to be something else important. And I think it's that I have a Sharon in hand here. So what's the best way of interacting with them with a Sharon? The Sharon is going to be at 23, and their guys are going to be lowered. And with the Sullic face down, I do have the ability to fuse. And obviously, the only card I can fuse for is going to be Mudragon. Mudragon is still useful for putting up a body on field and triggering the planet effect to pop. So I do exactly that. I get to make Mudragon. And I think I decided to pop my own Sullic here, because this lets me link off my Tear Cash and make the Engraver play without getting rid of all my tier names. Because now on their turn, I can summon Tear Cash, mill 6 more, and then still have my Sullic be live, which is really important. I need to make sure the Sullic is live as disruption still, because playing without spells is going to be kind of hard for them to play through the Desiree as well as the Sullic. So I like to do the Fiendsmith stuff, and the Desiree should hopefully check the rest of what's going on here. So it's going to leave me with a fair bit of interrupts versus nothing. Obviously, Pilgrim Reaper would be nice if I can get the pop off, but I'm not going to expected to. As well with the Mud Dragon gone, I can't even go for Bahamut Toad play unless I can shuffle or put it back. Desiree, though, is more than enough. I feel like I'm going to have that untargetable negate. And then I'm also going to Select the Tier Cash Mill 6. And I got the Black Goat on Lapsing Grave as well. So that card will also keep them off of anything too crazy. The Flip Up Inheritance, and I just have to make sure that I remember what it does properly. I have a decent idea, but it's still important. I think I do negate it because I don't want to lose to setting up Ultra Drago and then I can't target. And I also don't want to let them get Lara and have multiple normal summons. So I first tier cash Mill 6 looking for a tier monster, because if I can make Kaleido Heart, that'd be better. I don't, but that's fine. Minus 100 attack will also kind of keep me alive a bit, hopefully. And then I just negate with Desiree. So now my only negate here is going to be Sulik. But I have another cool interaction. So Sulik and Black Goat laughs. What I can also do is I can Sulik and send the Desiree, and then Desiree will have its effect to pop a card. So I still have a removal still. It may look like I have no removal left. I still have 2 negates and removal, and I have follow-up still, so I'm not like too concerned about this game. So you can see I have cards in hand. Normal Summon Wendy does threaten to crash here to summon a bigger monster, but if it uses the battle phase, then I feel relatively safe that I can, win this game in a grind on the next turn. So, or over the next few turns, it kind of defeats its ability to play. Summons Ulticana Hawk out here, and I Black Goated from the grave in the battle phase. That way he can't use any search effects. He can tag out in response, so he will go plus in the number of bodies he has, but it still overall leaves him pretty far behind. Now main phase 2 playing with no real win condition, right? He can't use spells, can't search, and his bodies kind of just don't go very far. The best thing he can do is get into the Link 4, but the Link 4 is just an average card, and I still have a lot of resources to dispose. The opponent's going to start sending cards to the grave, going to keep trying to get this playthrough and set up some sort of board. Here they can summon their Nochi, and the Nochi is a little concerning because what Nochi does is it stops the Select from targeting anything besides the Nochi. Considering it's main phase 2 though, I'd rather just hold all the stuff for follow-up and not concern too much over it. Next up, my opponent makes the older Virtual Beast Link monster to try and keep summoning cards in the hand and put more bodies in field. And you can see without having all the cycling ability, they are able to generate bodies to the same degree as before. And then my opponent just concedes. They realize they just don't have a real way to go anywhere, and it will just be over soon. So we get there. Tier, Protos, Shifter, no problem. 2-0, 1 to go. If you're curious about the deck list I'm using today, make sure to check the description box where the full list will be available. But if you're looking for a more in-depth guide and breakdown of how I built the deck, as well as things that may change after playing with it a little bit, then go check out my Patreon, where I have this deck profile up, as well as my Lightsworn tier deck profile, and a bonus locals vlog featuring that deck that I will not be releasing onto the channel. Expect both of those to go up over the next week, so if you're looking to get some bonus content from me, then that is the place to go. Hopefully I'll see you all there, but let's get back to locals. All right, so game number 3, and now this is the final round. Remember, only an 8-player tournament, so it was the small locals, but this is for the championship, and now I'm playing against Virtual Beast again, and I did see they're playing Virtual Beast, so I know there's a chance I can get shifted again. This is going to be the Shifter tournament with tier, the Shifter Gauntlet. I heckin' love Shifter. If I had known this is what the locals would be like, I probably wouldn't have brought tier, but you know what? Put up with it. So I lose the roll, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, but like, they know what I'm playing, so I'm probably getting Protoss locked. As long as I don't get Shifter, though, it's not like the biggest end of the world. They banish Ulti Gaia Paleo, send Lara, and I'm like, okay, this is like similar to what we saw last game. Not getting shifted, hugely important, but also this is manageable. If it's Protoss lock for dark, if I have grass, I can go through it. And I mean, there are other ways to play. So now we kind of just wait and watch as our opponent goes through the different lines of the ritual beasts. Here, my opponent actually searches for an Nemesis Corridor and threatening to summon Colossus. And ironically, Colossus, I think, is definitely worse than Protoss against this deck. But my hand was like all search cards, so I actually would have been straight up cooked by that Nemesis flag. I think I have like Imseti Trivikarma Thrust. So very happy to see it linked off and a Colossus not coming down versus a deck like Tier. You need floods to beat it. And I'm gonna get the field. And okay, there's the banish off the link monster, the ulti ready Ari. There's the steeds and an unknown back row. I use Imseti and I get Ashed, and I'm like, yes, my grass is safe. And my opponent sees, I love when they scramble, they check their back row, they're like, shit, I have no outs. Slam it down there, and it is time for my opponents to see their fate. And obviously, as they decked, and very conveniently for me on their first turn, I get to mill a lot of cards. So we go through all of our beautiful cards here. Milling the Rainbow Bridge. I'll probably mill a turtle as well, but it doesn't matter. You can shuffle it back to make Collide a Heart super easily. Yep, there's the turtle. Doesn't matter. You see I mill plenty of cards. There's a Sinister Necrom in there, which is going to summon any Light Fiend from the deck, the Dusted Gold, and really get my plays and my juices all flowing. If I can trigger Merly, Tear Cash, Sullick, and Scream, I figure I don't want to mill one of the spells or traps, so I'm going to get them out of the deck first, because I'm searching for Sullick. If I was searching for Meta Noise, then I should have added done the other order, but I don't want to mill another Sullick. I already milled one. If I was adding Meta Noise, though, I'd want to mill the Meta Noise, so I would resolve the Tear Cash first. This time I remember to mill 2. I mill Trivia Karma, which is kind of neat, although I already had it, obviously, off of the Mseti. I just follow up for next turn. Then I get to resolve Merly, and Collide a Heart here will put back the Emerald Tortoise, as well as force out Interruption, so I do kind of just see what happens. Now, I hit what looks to be an Eclipse, which I don't think I saw it was in the game. He kind of just didn't use it and let it get put back, as it would have made his steeds worse. And to me, like, this game is like an unlosable position, because now I get to search 3 more cards here. I'm up to probably like 10 in hand or something at this point. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. And this is after the -2 Mseti play. So it's like a little bonkers how far ahead you get in these type of game states. There's like 0 chance I can lose. I can be very kind of sloppy with my pushes, and it doesn't matter. It chains manage the Imperial Walls, because it'll revive both horse monsters, and that those F up the steeds, obviously. So now the only interaction left is the steeds, which I'll pop 2. Use Necrom to get out the Engraver cards, or the Fiendsmith cards. I already have Engraver Engrave as well, so if he pops this, it doesn't make a difference too much. It's just the free body, and the Engraver can also threaten to pop again. The threatening to pop will also make the steeds worse, so that's kind of neat. So I go threaten to pop, then I go through, so they still have the steeds pop, and that's really all they have, but I'm still just like so set up. Engraver shuffle back, and I get to overlay, or I get to link off for a sequence. Now, a sequence is going to do is threaten the Desiree, which will force the steeds. So steeds gets used here, and now I get to use my tier stuff because I've done barely any of it. Bahamut Toad is still coming out. I get to mill 3, and then Scream will mill 3 more. There's the Rhino Heart. Rhino can come out now because I haven't milled any of those yet. And I milled plenty of other darks. I can throw away Sullick. Doesn't matter. I think I got another one of those in my hand. Send Havnus, then I get Diffuse. Then I make Bahamut, and then I make Toad. It's just an onslaught that is like it's not close. I think that my opponent asks me like, "Am I dead?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you're dead, man." And they just concede instead of making me play it out because it's gone. This one's gone. So again, preparing for game 2. So I didn't see a Protoss in this deck game 1. He was playing Colossus. However, I think it's very safe to assume that if you're not main decking it, you'd be side decking it. So I still wanted to play around Protoss, and then sided out like all my dark monsters. And now, Sphere Mode is really bad against this deck. I probably should just not put it in and kept like some amount of darks, like maybe, I don't know, 1 Mothman, 1 Nessie, something stupid like that, and then like a Tsuchinoko, I don't know, or a second Nessie, because you can still trigger the dangers under Protoss. You just can't summon them, so you just keep revealing them. You get their discard effects. So I guess like double Nessie Mothman is like technically okay if I need to put cards in the grave. Okay is like pushing it. If it's better than Sphere Mode though, probably, because there's also better mills. That's kind of like the debatable thing that maybe I'm just being an idiot for. Going to game 2, we'll see how we do. We'll start with Elder Canahawk, one of the classic combos, and gets to start going into the Canahawk line to search a bunch. And they get to do very classic which of these things: search, summon, search, summon, search, summon. This will take a while. Let's fast forward through it, and we'll see some of the end results as they speed up. Good old flag searching a Protoss here. And we get to the end board. There's a Gaia Pelio and a Protoss. I was thinking for a second there that maybe they were going to do this in a way where they made my Sphere Mode live, but they did not. So Gaia Pelio and Protoss for Dark is very hard. There's 3 negates in his hand, and this deck can play through it sometimes. His hand, however, cannot. I sided out Dark Ruler because I thought, what the hell would this card ever be used against? I guess if I knew there was going to be a ulti Gaia Pelio, I would have kept it in. Let's Thrust Resolve, trying to play around a second copy of Thrust in my hand. If I had Dark Ruler, then that would have been fantastic, but I did not. So I decided, what can I do to really bait him out? And in reality, there's nothing. I got grass, and I think maybe it doesn't have a second one. He does. I look at my hand. I think it's like sphere mode and a bunch of nonsense, like double Solic. I'm like, all right, this is over. I don't know. So I'm checking his grave. I see that he has plenty of follow up. Maybe he'll mess up, but because there's no Lara in there. But Lara tag out is honestly good enough, anyways. Like summon Nochi Drago, then summon back. But one Mechana Hawk, and I'm like, yeah, we're done here. So we go to game 3. Stek can Planter Protos, but it's not a miracle worker, guys. Negates plus Protos equals no bueno. I tried. If those sphere modes were actually Dark Rulers, then I think I win that game on the spot, ironically. Anyways, game 3. Now the thing is, I feel comfortable when I go first game 3, except when I get Shifted. So I'm gonna have that looming over my head. How do I beat Shifter? And Thrust Black Goat did do the job last round, but there isn't much of an answer, so I put those cards in, put my extenders in, because maybe I can do like an IP SP thing, which is what Snake Eyes did and sometimes worked against Ritual Beast, but that's really the extent of my answers, so gotta rely on it. All right, so I'll look at my hand here, and I'm in a bit of a weird situation. Now, I have a bunch of dangers. I think my hand was actually, if recall it exactly, it's Triple Tactics Talents, Danger Nessie, Sharon, and 2 Rainbow Bridge of Salvations. So, how do you play this hand out? Now, the play that I did is the most obvious one, and I'm not sure if it's correct. And it's setting talents, and then using the Danger Nessie. Because if you hit the Nessie, you get Mothman, and that's the ideal scenario. Because then Mothman will be another dark for Bahamut Toad later down the line, because Nessie's an Aqua, so you can't use it for Mud Dragon. And then you get to discard eventually the Bridge. Bridge will get a Planet. Planet will get access to Rhinoheart to make the Toad play. And then Sharon can pitch the Tortoise to mill 3 and lead into your Fiendsmith stuff. That would be ideal. However, if you hit the Sharon, you get 1 blind draw, you make Garura, and it's kind of ass. The other thing is as well, is you want to play around what type of draws you could get, because you're expecting to play through hand traps. Setting a card to not discard talents, increase the good discards is nice, but what it does do is mean that now if I draw a left arm, I cannot use it. And that is important because it essentially turns off 3 OTK insta wins in my deck. I am pretty sure I'm still supposed to set talents, because really ditching the Sharon is the worst thing that can happen. And also, if I hit like the Rainbow Bridge, I want to have the talents to push through Ash Blossom. So I still think I'm supposed to just kind of accept left arm as a bad draw, but I think there is a cause for discussion there. So let me know what you think, if that's which course of action you think is best. So I resolve the Nessie out here, and hits 2 and hits the Sharon, which is the worst possible card. However, I do draw Engraver for turn. Not for turn, for the Nessie, and I'm like, okay, I can play now again, because the Engraver sets up several things. For one, it'll let me discard off tracks, and then I can normal summon the Lurry. Still get the Fiendsmith plays while also putting my other cards in the graveyard, my Bridge. So I get the tracked here, I can get the Lurry out, and I can discard Bridge, trigger the Bridge, get the Planet, get some stuff rolling, as well as I have the draw access. I'm still able to mill 5 at least, get the Bridge for Planet, doing whatever I want with there, and I'm still going to have access to the draw as well of Guru. So I have resources going for me still. I have to decide what I want to do first. I decide to search for a tier name here, because if I go for the mill 5, I want to be able to hit the Rhinoheart and then use its effect, because I can't do that in my current hand. Now, Tier Cash is cool, because if you activate Rhinoheart in the grave and your only card in hand is the Chairman card is a Chairman Kashtira, you can chain the Chairman Kashtira to the Rhinoheart's effect. The Rhinoheart will not discard anything, but it summons then discards. So what that means is it'll still summon, it'll try to resolve as much as possible, and you can't discard, it'll just summon. So you essentially get to hack your way through it. I mill 5 here, and my friends pop off in the background thinking I milled insane. I did not. Like, milling tiers in this deck is really not that important. I can make Mud Dragon here, but without Rhinoheart, this doesn't actually do anything. So it's like 1 free body. The Scream is kind of neat, but that's like it. I was definitely looking for other cards here. Triva Karma would have been better. I'll make Mud Dragon here, and then I get to go Tier Cash, mill 3 more. And I'm still looking for a way to play with Rhinohearts. And it's weird how Rhinoheart has become like the backbone of the deck with Kikula's gone. Nothing there. Shuffler is still solid. Shuffler is kind of nice because with the Ritual Beast in his grave, he has an instant ulti Nochi Drago play here, and that lets me reset it and kind of backfire against the Pilgrim Reaper a little bit. My opponent actually made a remark that they can't Protoss now because they milled it, but ironically they could have SP'd banished Protoss and then shuffle back with Flag and then search it. But yeah, anyways, here I'm thinking, what do I do? And like the reality is, you get to the position and you don't actually have like a good play coming afterwards. There's not much that can happen. I have a couple options here. I can go for like an IP pass play, or I can link these off into closed worlds or closed sky, and then turn that plus the engraver into sequence, and then sequence make Desiree, and that would be like Desiree Sulic pass with the shuffler, which is like shit. I think it's Meta Noise. I searched Meta Noise because I didn't have a good Sulic target, which I think is a bit better to get the Reinhardts into play and stuff, but still like not great. But the Desiree here, and my board is looking kind of poopy. I have a lot of random cards in hand. I have like Tortoise in hand. I have a second bridge in hand. I have Meta Noise in hand. And then I have the talents face down that I never got to use. And I use the shuffler here. Again, maybe I force out like a bell and I can use talents. Nothing. All right, whatever. If you're good, it's worth it. I'm going to want to prevent the instant no Drago from happening anyways. And I set one and I pass. And my opponent responds here with a Nibiru. Now, Nibiru is an interesting one. I don't care too much because it turns on talents and my board wasn't particularly good. I will get to mill 2 off tier cash. The question is, what do I send with this Desiree? For one, there's 2 options. If I hit a Sulic instead of a Meta Noise or that set, I could have popped the Sulic and searched off that. I think I hadn't already searched off Sulic. But with the Meta Noise, it's still not bad. I can pop the Meta Noise, add back to tier cash, and have like a play for their turn. Obviously, I can't summon it here. Or I can pop the Nibiru. Now, popping the Nibiru has less follow-up involved, and the body from the Nibiru shouldn't matter too much for when he's trying to break my field. There's also one other downside, and that is if there's ever a world that I go talents draw 2, which is probably actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that for sure. I'm definitely drawing 2. A world that I draw Thrust. So if I draw Thrust, I'm going to want that Thrust to be able to search something live. And I can use that turn and play with. However, I decided to pop the Nibiru and then draw 2 and see how I get there. And I think I did literally just draw the Thrust, which is really funny. I draw 2 with the Thrust, but it's not the end of the world because with the Thrust here, I get Black Girl Laughs, and we saw last game that Black Girl Laughs is actually pretty good in this matchup. And I have this huge Nibiru token up, which should hopefully keep me alive paired to Black Girl Laughs. I think the other card I do is Phantasme, so I have Phantasme in hand as well. And I hope that those can kind of both collectively just keep me alive. Opponent searches the Inheritance, and you know, I'm like a little bit starved for interaction here. They summon out the Kanahawk, and just like before, we call the Fusion Kanahawk here, so they're going to have limited ways of pushing through. They summon the Kanahawk, banish Lara, and they can start going through their plays for a bit. Makes ulti Apelio, but yeah, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Then he tags it out, gets the banish once more, banishes the Steeds. I imagine he can add that back with the ulti Ready Aries, that's what he does. And it's a note at this point, there's like 5 minutes left on the clock, so this is my opponent's kind of one turn to deal damage to me. And then it'll be my turn, at which point if they can't deal with the Nibiru token, that'll just kill them. So they search for the flag here, and they think there's no way for them to get Protos, but there is if they go SP here. They're kind of just thinking what they need to do. Goes flag to summon, and links away for SP. And with the SP here, I am able to trigger Phantasme, and because they tried to banish the Banshee to get the extra bodies, it means they can't attack directly, and also means they cannot deal damage to me this turn. Now the Phantasme is arguably debatable because Inheritance can turn cards to attack points, to attack mode, and that's kind of risky, but still, I feel like a bit fine with it. They get to go add back here, add back the Steed, summon Rapengu, and they can like attack and banish the token and then kill the Phantasme, but they can't do too much else here. Like all these bodies kind of don't do too much. They've lost access to their Protos. Links for IP, sets 1, and passes. I think they're a bit worried about time. Obviously, supposed to just attack Phantasme here, but at this point, I'm like super in control. With Phantasme to protect from targeting as well, I just have to summon bodies, threaten battle phase, and it should be over. And I have like a minute 30 on the clock, so I'm not that down bad. I get to summon these out. I'm pretty sure I can Black Girl Laughs, call the ulti Ready Ari, and they'll force the interaction there. And obviously, if they try to hit one of these 3, then I can chain Phantasme, which is pretty good. So he has to hit the back row, which doesn't really matter. Like he hits my Rainbow Bridge, and I'm like, okay. Left arm banish 2, and this gets talents. Talents will just end the game. That's why I held a Black Girl for the main phase there. I can just save it for this spot, and we'll be able to do. Talents take, chain Steed, pop. They can pop the Nibiru token. But then I just still take the ulti Ready Ari, Summon back the engraver. And game. So that means we went 3-0 with tier element and locals today. 3-0 is not like a crazy score, obviously, but I'm happy because these are like supposedly harder matchups. Playing through Produce for Dark and Shifter, like it's not a feat that needs to be understated. Now, obviously, my play in the first round and even the second round were kind of lacking. I feel like I picked up better around 3. I'm not sure why. I promise next locals I'll be more focused and we'll get better gameplay. But that was tier, and you can see there is still power there. And grass. Y'all say grass has no good mills. What are you smoking? Was those grasses there? Those looked fire to me. Now remember, I'm going to do a bonus locals vlog with tier Lightsworn, a different version of the deck, and I'll be posting that one on Patreon only, as well as I will show you guys the deck profiles for those decks on Patreon over the next coming days. So if you want to see more content, that is the place to go. And Patreon is also a great way to support me as a creator, letting me know that you enjoy me being here and doing all these things for the community. So appreciate any of the support I can get. But that is all for now, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Milan, guys. Peace.